Is it time? All right. Good morning, everybody. How are you? Good. Thank you for coming at 8 a.m. on day 3. Okay. I've been here since Sunday. I feel like it's 4, 5, 6. But anyways, it's day 3. So welcome here. I'm glad that you took the time and hopefully got your coffee. Did everybody have to get in line? So I'm not a coffee drinker, so I don't need to do that. But so again, my name is Denise Esslinger. I'm here to share one of my favorite days of the year in adult education and actually in my entire in life and it's general. So great day to celebrate. Today we're going to talk about our adult education day. So engage, inspire, and transform. And this is going to be your adult education day playbook. Our goal is to go through a lot of the steps on the pre-planning, the event itself, what you do afterwards, how you engage your legislators, your programs, and then at the end, we will share a webpage tool that has so many templates, the playbook, the presentation. So I hope it's a lot of tools that you can take with you, modify, and make it work for you in your program. So we'll get started here in a little bit. My name again is Denise Essling. I should tell you a little bit more about myself. I've been in adult education for 5 years now. I started in the elementary sector and taught first grade for 15 lovely years, and then got the opportunity to be a supervisor for an HSE program in Indianapolis, Indiana, and then now I'm the assistant director in another large program in Indianapolis, Indiana. Let's see, I'm also a board member for our Indiana Association, and this year I've become the SAFE Fellow for Indiana. So advocacy kind of landed in my lap with a, hey, will you help co-chair that? But it's been wonderful and it's really changed my life and my
absolute pleasure to work. So she has a lot to offer, so let's get started.
and I'm one that if there's a question in between, feel free to just ask away. We don't have to save it till the end. So I like to get collaboration and conversation going as well. We also have our state director, Marilyn Pizzulo here. So she'll be able to add some as well because she is wonderful and helps me a lot with my advocacy efforts. So, all right. Jen, my clicker's not working. Oh, there it is. Okay, so the objectives we'll go through today is why have an adult education day. We're looking at a lot of advocacy efforts. If you've heard a lot of that over the program, I'm sorry, the conference this year. I mean, we continue to look, advocate as COABE does, and we can do that as a state level, on a state level. Also to give step-by-step guidance. Again, I've gone through this process 2 times already, so I'm just going to share the insights I have, the step-by-steps that I've taken, some that I have inherited, and what we can do to make this event a success. We're going to go ahead and give you templates that you can use, modify for yourself, and also some best practices, which come back from sometimes doing things one way and learning there's a better way to do it next time. I love. Oh, okay. Jen, you can just go to the next one more time. Okay. I'm having trouble with seeing myself talking in closed caption. All right. I know we had some polls in here, and I don't know if some of you are answering it, but anybody here hosted an adult education day in their state or their program? Oh, we got lots of newbies, kind of. I said, okay. Has anybody attended an adult education day somewhere else? Where was that at? Arizona, great, all right. And then, well, let me ask you, how would you rate your experience? Good, okay, all right. So that's something that, you look at what you want to, how you feel, how your attendees feel, how the program feels, so something to look at that. So hopefully next year, a lot more people will have at least started the process of hosting and attending adult education day in their area. This little bit, so, okay. I'm just gonna pretend my kill clicker needs 3 or 4 times to work. So, all right. Okay, so did I skip? Okay. So why have adult education day in your state? There's a reason for it. We have to have an objective. It's not just something that, and it could, I mean, it can start with, oh, we should just do this because it's the right thing to do, but then it grows in the area. So part of it I wanted to share with you is Indiana's history. I'm going to ask Jen to do that for you because as you can see, she was been in her position longer than I have, and I came into adult education day.
Well, actually, I learned a very interesting fact because I knew that we had done one way before me, but I wasn't sure what it was. So I asked Marilyn last night. It was the legislation before her back in 2012. And the programs really weren't involved a whole lot. So whenever they first decided they want to do one again in like 2018, 2019, it was like, okay, how can we get everybody involved? And so we started with an essay contest, trying to get legislators involved. We started with business recognition because we knew that would get them there. And those two things are really what has involved our history through building on it each and every year. And so we've been doing it every year since then, even through the COVID times. We managed to get it through there for some reason. Marilyn, is there anything you want to add about our history?
So a lot of this came about, and some of you know Indiana's history. They tried to write us out of statute. They literally tried to write adult education out of statute in the state of Indiana. And it was at that point that we all said, whoa, we got to figure this out. And so that did not happen, but the adult education day at the State House and recognizing employers all ties to that, the legislature trying to get rid of us back in 2016.
Any questions on the history? I got prizes. that prizes got it, didn't it?
I was just wondering what the essay contest portion was. How was that related to the legislators?
It was to get the success stories of our students because get them there. The legislators in the very first year, the team worked really hard to get legislators as judges. They got judges throughout the whole thing. It was a little, like it was a little wacky. But whenever it come to the years following, oh, you get candy, yes. But yep, Marilyn wants to say something about this too.
So again, remember like what we were trying to do, and we had a new governor at that time, relatively new governor, Eric Holcomb, and he had come through with a whole new agenda of next level jobs. Everything was, we were going to take Indiana to the next level. And so our first essays were, how did adult education take you to the next level? We were trying to really show how we were integral into their agenda.
Okay. So thank you for the history, because again, I still consider myself a newbie in adult education. It's from 2020, and I got into the role as right in the middle of the pandemic. So a lot of things have changed since then. Advocacy efforts, as Marilyn said, the chance of being written out in 2016, but in 2023, a budget year, adult education had cuts and then no funding for years. So through the advocacy efforts of our state association, our partnership, so DWD, the Department of Workforce Development, is our governing body in Indiana. So efforts from them, and then all the programs, everybody went boots to the ground, talking to the legislators, advocating, and actually, I'm sorry, I'm working on this, educating our legislators of the great things that we do. When you really look at the return of investment, and that's what they want to know. Why should we give you more money? What are you doing for the state? And our programs, Indiana's been #1 for quite a few years in measurable skill gains and a lot that we do. And we're just changing the lives of Indiana Hoosiers who either don't have a high school equivalency, career training, as well as skilling up our students who need English language skills. So with those efforts, and that's how I got into this, was okay, reach out to your legislators, email them, call them, invite them to your programs. And then you get this chance to then invite them to this big event, Adult Education Day, which for us is held at the Indiana State House, right in the center of Indianapolis, downtown. And actually the back screen here, that is our state house, and that is where we hold the event every year. And it is being held, it's held during session. So the goal is, even if a legislator who's been invited may not attend, he or she may be walking around and go, oh, what's going on here? This is a big crowd. And that's our goal. And it has grown since we started back up through this effort. So I can gladly say the efforts paid off in 2023. I will, it's kind of scary. Actually got what written out and then put back in, right? One.
Yeah, so we were able to get, we had been stagnant funded for well over 2 decades, and then we had taken a cut during the pandemic. And so as a result of the advocacy work and Adult Education Day, we went from 12 to 16 to $20 million. And fingers crossed we hold on to that this year.
Great efforts in Indiana and for everybody who involved. Legislative support, as we said, we're reaching out to our legislators. This was something that I was also very naive about and didn't know. Like, I don't even know who the legislators are for my program. I don't work in the same area as I live. So I'm like, well, I know my legislators in my hometown. I vote for them, but I don't know who represents the area that I serve. So I got to learn about that, reaching out. I mean, sometimes it just starts with the click of an email and getting them in, but bringing that support of the legislators. And we have grown in our support. I know this, I want to shout out to Melinda Haynes, one of our wonderful advocates in Indiana. She's my person I look up to, and I'm like, I want to advocate just like you, and is able to reach so many legislators in her area. And then she also presents at our state conference of what can you do, whether it's starting with, the 3 clicks to just reach out, or, actually going in either to their office or having a legislator come to your program to see all the great work that you do. And then, of course, we're celebrating student success. As Jennifer said, we have an essay contest every year that's tied into the theme of our day. And it's also just here to show the great things that adult education has done to lift them up. A lot of times it's a student who started and received their high school equivalency, and then our student essay winner this year moved on to a pharmacy tech certification. So when we look at that, they take those stories. A lot of times it's almost like taking your graduation speech and putting it into a story, because that is what we want to show all the legislators what we do. And especially with our political landscape in Indiana, workforce development is what we want to really show the great things that our programs are doing for the students. And then, of course, celebrate partnerships. Businesses are, again, big for our political landscape. We have lots of partnerships that we work with businesses, whether they're for our certifications. My program holds classes in different businesses. We're trying to skill up the English skills so that they can skill up in the area, promotions, raises, things like that. We've also helped students earn their high school equivalency once they get that English language acquisition. So we want to highlight all those partnerships on that Adult Education Day. Any questions about why you should have one? Okay. So the 3 pillars we have is what we need to do for this. And obviously, first, you got to engage everybody and get everybody involved, your programs, your students, that's important. And yeah, and then of course the legislators as well. IAAC, our association, and DWD sponsor our Adult Education Day event together, and just engage everybody to buy into this. And I have a personal story to share a little bit later. Then you want to inspire everyone. Those stories that the students write, and then the winner always gets a chance to read their story out loud. A lot of times I get to see the story even before they read it, because I help plan the day, but then I listen to it come out of their own voice, and goosebumps, chills. You've all heard it. Your students tell a story and it doesn't matter if you've heard it 3 or 4 times. Yes, the tears will come. So you're inspiring. And then what we want to do is just transform the lives of our students and our entire state, and of course across the country. Okay. Some pictures here. So like I said, our Adult Education Day is held at the State House. It's right now in the North Atrium. So this is from this year, I believe. We had over 300 attendees this year, which is the largest it's ever been. We had standing room only. And then even like at the top, you'll see people stop by and go, what's going on down there? So it's been great. We do serve cookies. I just have to say that will get a lot of people to your event if you serve something like this. So maybe if you just walk by, but those cookies, those are a game changer. Couple of things here. These are just different. You see that crowd right there, it's a bunch of students that attend one of our programs, brings a bus. Ooh, I think they had a good 50 students this year from a program, and they are luckily located in Indianapolis close by, but 50 of their students came in. They also run a really strong student ambassador program, and so it was great to see all of them. Yeah, so. Mhm. Yeah. Actually, this is Melinda, who I met, and that's a senator that she talks to and works with, Liz Brown. And again, just some more showing of the great participation we have. Marilyn, when she speaks as well at our event, always leads it off. And then this is a group from Wagler, which is one of our partnerships. So we just want to showcase the great things that can be done throughout the whole day. And the pictures I have to share are actually from all the events. I tried to go all the way back to the first one I attended in 2022 and to show how it's grown over time. Okay. Yep. I'm gonna let you click. It works better for me. All right. So the first pillar is you're engaging. How are we going to engage everybody into this? And I think that's really important because asking, and I've done this actually, because when you're involved in something and you know what it all means, kind of when you talk about adult education, you're going to say ABE, HSE, and then all of a sudden I'm talking to somebody that says, I lost you at your acronym. So when I talk about Adult Education Day, even in my own program, like, oh, you need to attend. Why? What is adult education? And that's what the important is within agenda. When you think about your plan for Adult Education Day, what is your objective? Why are you planning it? What is your hope to accomplish? And when you think about that for, primary goals, awareness, advocacy, and just getting that word out, how many of you feel that a lot of people don't know about your programs? Yeah, I mean, our program's in a large school district, one of the largest in the state, and I'll say, I work for adult education. What's that? I never heard of it. And I'm right in the middle of the school corporation, and I share a building with the online academy. So it's amazing how many people do not know about adult education. And in full transparency, as an elementary school teacher, before I got into this role, I didn't even know about adult education. I mean, you hear the word GED and you kind of just, I guess I never knew how people got it. I just thought you took a test. So you know, right there. But so when you're looking at that, and also when you're thinking about your agenda and your plan, know your audience. Who are you trying to reach? And what is the best way to reach them? I heard that as we talked about advocacy efforts in some of the sessions I was at earlier. We have a lot going on in this country right now, and every state looks different. Our state, we know that for us, we should really focus on the outcomes of business partnerships, certifications, earning your HSE. That's what's best for us when we know our audience too. But at the same time, we're doing great work for everything, and you never want to diminish the good work that you are doing. I think we have with our English language acquisition, but that part here is, yes, we're having students, we have classes, and we're skilling them up in the workforce. So there's always a way to show and showcase the great work you do, just knowing who your audience is and how to advocate for that. Collaboration. Oh, we have a committee. I love my committee. They make everything so much better. So a little history. 2 years ago, the state director that was not Marilyn, I guess I found this out later, suggested that I should help out with Adult Education Day and co-chair the event. So Jen called me and said, hey, Denise, would you co-chair Adult Education Day for 2024? And I said, sure, I'll do it. I really didn't know what I was getting into, and whew, but at the same time, being the co-chair actually put me on the advocacy committee as well. And that was a huge lesson learning for me. So I got to do that. So when you think of collaboration, we have an entire committee that works on planning the Adult Education Day. We have people who are strong in connecting with business partnerships. We have those who, Jen does a great work with the whole essay part and organizing that, getting the judges, making sure that everything comes back in. We have other people who work at who can I invite? Who can I help be a keynote speaker? That's one thing to think about. Who can be the keynote speaker? Who's the legislator? So many people work together. DWD, they work in helping me with talking points. Oh, that's so important too. When you're reaching out to your legislator, you have to have that knowledge of not just support us or educate, what are all the points that you need to do. So DWD is wonderful in bringing all those talking points in, communicating with our keynote speakers. So it's a whole collaboration effort, and we couldn't do it if we didn't have the whole team. And in fact, I'm going to put this in, our team needs to get a little bit bigger because this past year, there was so much expansion to how successful the event was that this year we're like, oh, we got to really add some more members to our team to continue to grow with all that is gone with. And then a welcoming environment, the State House there, not only is it a place that's centrally located, it's beautiful, and I love to be there, but also when you think of when your attendees are coming, who's there to welcome them? You have your team, your program, students. That's why it's wonderful to have all your students there. Those are what bring the awareness to where you're at. So any questions about that first pillar to get? I think I caught everything. Okay, we'll go ahead and go to the next. So talk about your getting involved. Every year we put a theme to our adult education day. So I tried to find everything we have for the past few years. And then what we do is these are actually printed invitations that are created. And then I get the opportunity, I have the last 2 years for the Heart of Adult Education Day. And here we did Adult Education Works, is actually having physical invitations along with a little, what do we call it? My friend calls it a tchotchke. I don't know what you call those little swag items, marketing items, put it in there and send it. So we take this, gets created with our team, and then one of our directors in our state is also a state representative. So she's a great connection when you try to get into the State House. So contacts Representative Davis, and I meet with her legislative assistant, and they make sure that these invitations and these little items, swag items, get to each legislator in the building. So 150 of these are out. They get those to all the representatives and senators to try to do that personal invite. And then on top of all that, Jen does a good job putting it on our social media. We send this out to the programs and we ask others to, let's get the word out. Let's invite everybody. We want to see how much awareness we can have here. But these are fun to make. So in my, as we said, we had some years ago, then took a break with the pandemic, but back in 19, oh my gosh, I was born in the 1900s, but 2022 and then 2023, these are the two that I can speak a little bit closer about. They're the two that I helped chair. So the Heart of Adult Education, we did a little play on being right around Valentine's Day and just having that. And then this year we did Adult Education Works, and we looked at, again, looking at the governor we have a new governor and just how his bill is, and he is very big into manufacturing and workforce development. So we wanted to connect our theme with our governor. And as Marilyn mentioned earlier, our former governor, his was next level job. So we had a theme of skilling up and next level. So really try to look at who's in office and how we can connect with them. So. But thank you. This one, a couple of things you think about here. This year, 2 years ago, we gave them a little stress ball that said Indiana Adult Education. Great little thing to have. And you want to think, you want to let the legislators know that the event is coming up. And then the timing is also of essence. You don't want to send this in December because our event happens in February. A lot can change and then, but then you don't want to 2 days before because their calendar is full. So you really have to think about when is the best time to invite the legislators, and you're going to talk about more than once, but when do you want to send this out timing wise? And then what can you give them that reminds them that, hey, there's an event coming up, I should attend. This is something I want to know more about. So that's always our goal when we think of bringing this to the legislators. A couple of years ago, there was the little calendar, Adult Ed Day. So you kept that right on your desk. It's like, oh, I have an event to see, and I believe Jen saw them.
Yes.
Yep.
That's first, they were made by our corrections crew. Adult education in the state, Ivy Tech gets the grant to do that. And so they have, of course, vocational. And so they made them. And I went to deliver the COABE award to Michelle Davis in her office, and I saw it sitting there on their desk that welcomes everybody. And I was like, can you move it out a little bit? Snapped a picture. So yes, that's where that picture is from. And it was great to actually see it on the desk, so collaboration is key there.
And then reasoning behind this, and I thought this was a good one, again, came from Melinda Haynes. She said, when you're talking to a legislator later, you can give them something big or clunky, but then they don't know what to do with it. She goes, but Denise, they put everything in their pockets. So these are where the bookmarks came. So we went to talk, and I got to go to a local forum in my corporation, and I got to meet the two state senators that represent my program. And she's exactly right. I invited them to Adult Education Day. They took the bookmarks, looked at it, and they had it in their pocket. I'm like, you never know, maybe it'll go through the laundry, but it'll be a reminder. So when you're thinking about how do I engage and, advocate and get someone to come and think of those little things of what can I give them that's a reminder that's not going to be something, unfortunately, we've seen them before, that gets thrown in a drawer. So. All right, next slide. And then something else I'd love to share. This is great with our partnership of DWD, on top of sharing success stories from our students, which is so powerful, as well as the partnerships we have with businesses. We need to let our legislators know all the great things our programs are doing across our state and your state, because that's really what they want to see. Where's the money going? What's the return on investment? And how are you helping your students and citizens in your state? So one thing that we've done every year, and I get this great information from DWD, is taking all our metrics and just displaying it. So all of these posters here are like 3 feet by 2 feet, and they're presented around the area and stands. So when you walk into the event, you can, kind of works nice if you're really strong. You could stand next to one of those posters and someone comes up and talk to you. Oh, yep, I'm work with high school credentials, career certification. So this just helps stimulate some conversations, especially if you're someone that's attending, maybe just someone who's attending the program the day who's not been there before. I'm like, I don't know exactly what to tell a legislator. What do I talk about? So here's some good talking points that you can share as well. They're pretty and they look nice. And again, it just keeps that welcoming environment and puts it all together. So then we've engaged people, we've got them here. Now what? We've got to inspire everybody. And what I love about adult education, I'm sure you all do, our students are inspiration. They inspire us. They can inspire everyone else as well. So we look at success stories, and every year, as I said earlier, those essay contests bring that success story in that you just cannot imagine. We have success stories throughout the year that also come through. You think of graduation speeches. I had a young man who did a graduation speech a couple years ago, and he spoke about everything, but then he wanted everybody to know that it's a different timeline, same results. And he would speak, and then he'd pause, and he was 19 years old, and he'd say his story. He'd say, different timeline, same result. And everybody start clapping. And then he'd speak some more and tell the next part of his story. Then he'd pause and repeat that phrase over and over. I'm getting goosebumps thinking about it. And it was just the most amazing story. And you think about, that's how we can let everyone know the great work we're doing. Our students are our voices. We're their voices, but they're ours as well. And so we get that opportunity to hear those stories at Adult Education Day. The essay contest has a first, second, and third place winner. We also have honorable mentions. All of those students get recognized at the event. They get to come on stage, get a certificate, shake hands. The commissioner shook hands with them today, this year. So there's a lot of great things that we can do with our success stories. A lot of things too. Our essay contest does yield prizes. And this year, thanks to some generous donations from vendors across the state, we were able to give our first place winner a $300 gift card. Our second place winner got a $200 gift card, and our third place winner got a $100 gift card. So again, all that was generously donated by 2 different vendors in our program. So when you're looking at collaboration and planning, something that you have to realize, who can you help sponsor your event? Because we do have IAACE and then DWD, but we also have a lot of others who want to help and be a part of this event and to bring this together. Speakers. Okay. This part is the hardest part for me, as being the co-chair or the chair of the event, because as I'm working on my advocacy, I don't have a personal relationship yet. I'm trying with a representative or senator. So when I'm thinking of a keynote speaker, this is one area that my committee Whew, thank you for that. And it's like, who can be our keynote speaker? What can they say? How can they share the good news of adult education? How can they take their experience? And who just would be a good person to represent adult education? So that does take a lot of thought processes. Last year, we had Senator Andy Zay who came in, he spoke. Thankfully, again, our wonderful partners of DWD will give those talking points and landscape to each of our speakers to give them an area to talk about. They can speak about their personal constituents, but then across the whole state. So there's a lot of planning into trying to get a keynote speaker. Again, it's who you can know, reaching out, getting the commitment. And I will say, you can get the commitment and it works well. And sometimes things change at the last minute and you just pivot into that. But I'll share a little bit more about this year's event too. But every year we try to have a keynote speaker. And then I will say we have relied on our Representative Davis, who is the director from another program in Indianapolis. She speaks every year because it's great. You have her perspective as a director and how she helps students, but she advocates for adult education all the time in her role. And so she is such a powerful voice for us. And it's just a joy to have her speak every year. And I'm so grateful that she says yes every time. And then we also have currently the Senate Pro Temp. He is a huge supporter of Adult Education Day. And last year, he was just walking through the atrium and one of my close friends knows him personally. And she said, "Senator Bray, do you want to talk?" And he said, "Sure." So I was getting a text in the middle of the event with the full agenda, said Senator Bray would like to talk because he has something to say about the great things adult education does. I'm like, all right, so through a little bit of collaboration, we shifted a little around and there we had a wonderful supporter of adult education up there just telling everybody what great things we do and how proud he is of the programs. And so using that example, he came again this year because he's also just, you take that support you can get and let him speak. So something that can just happen just like that. And then purpose in community is who are you serving? Who can you reach? And then why, again, we're doing it for our students. We're here to elevate our students, but we need to be able to do that at the program level and we need the support of our legislators. And it comes down to, we need financial support to do all the great work that we do. Any questions about that? Yes.
What kind of funding do you get? Do you get any funding from COABE National for the collateral and the event? And then the second question is for the speakers, like the senator. Do you provide them talking points as far as statistics and what to say?
Two great questions. So I'll start with the funding. IAACE, when we look at our budget, does put money aside for Adult Education Day. So we use that. We have partnership with the Department of Workforce Development, and then any other funding right now is actually from our sponsors. So that's how we fund this day. I think we're looking at keep growing. I did have one of our sponsors tell me over here this week, she's like, "What more can I do? How much more can I help?" So that one we're still building, but we do not receive COABE funding for our day.
But we do not receive COABE funding for the Adult Education Day, but we have IAACE is a 501c4, so our primary focus is to advocate. But we also have a relationship with Indiana Literacy Association, which is our 501c3. They can do a lot different things than we can do, and so with the collaboration between the two of us, plus our collaboration with the DWD and a relationship with all of the others, it's all about building relationships and that collaboration. And that's really how Indiana is so strong, is we've been building relationships for quite some time. And we have some great leaders that have been providing that for quite some time.
And you reminded me, we have programs too that also donate different items for the event. The cookies I spoke about earlier, those are baked and brought in by one of our programs in Indianapolis. Pardon me? a CTE program. So those are taken care of. We have one program every year who sponsors the beverage service for there, pays for it every year. She takes care of that. Those posters you saw earlier were paid for by another program. So on top of what we have, yes, we are, and we're getting bigger. I actually had 3 more programs reach out to me and said, so how can I help? What can I do? Well, I need a photographer. There's my photography taken care of. So there's lots of things. As we grow, we're getting more wanting more programs coming in. How can I help and be a part of it as well? And then you asked about talking points. Yes, each legislator who is speaking does receive talking points from Department of Workforce Development to help them frame their speech so that not only it supports, but then they can be in that framework of what's going on in the programs at that time. So great question. Yes, and I was going to say, if we can find it by the end, we do have a wonderful document that's created with our talking points and it has a return on investment. So if we can find that state sheet, we'll show it at the end. Ah, see? Oh, cookie next time. Candy. That's great. I should have checked the CTE program and see if we could have gotten, because their program was here. So, great. Yeah. So here are some of our essay winners for the last 4 years. Again, they get an opportunity to come to the event and read their essay in front of the entire group that is there. And that can be a lot. Not only are you having a story that is inspiring and powerful, the fact to read it in front of hundreds of people and share your story. So this is one of our winners from this current year, which we held on February 11th this year. And then this was our winner last year in 2024 and 2023 and then 2022. And as you can see with 2022, it was that resurgence of COVID. So we were still wearing our masks, or some of us were. So that's just the growth that we have had. And I'm looking forward to our next round of winners next year.
I just want to add that our success stories with our essays is Keith Presley, the one in the corner with the girl in the purple. He got so much attention at the Adult Education Day everybody was coming up to him afterwards with, oh my gosh, your story is so incredible. Your story is so incredible. And so then afterwards he came up to me and is like, is there anything else I can do to help you guys? And I'm like, yes, there is. What would you like to do? And so we got to talking and we're doing a little podcast. We just got it started. It's only been about 6 months. It's all about the journey of the adult learner. So we've done a little bit of different things. Hopefully we'll get it consistent where we'll be able to release episodes every month. But that is some of the great collaborations that can come out of it as well, is the students willing to step up and continue the legacy.
Please.
Are your students all current students or past students? For the essay contest, yes.
I've had the privilege of reading every single essay for the past 2 years. And for the most part, I would say it's a good mixture. There's always, like this year, we had a record year. I think there was like 85 essays that were submitted. And so there's a group of individuals that read them all and narrow them down to, I think we narrowed it down to 20 to give to the legislators and the other judges. And then those people, so out of that 80, there was probably maybe 30 that were current, and a good mixture between ELL students and, all kinds of mixtures. Marilyn has something.
But most of them are like recent attendees, like within the last year, yeah.
For the most part, they're all within the last year that they've been. But there's always those programs that'll, like somebody who just graduated or just got, like, I can't remember their name, but it might have been, yeah, one of them, like he was already graduated. He got his GED and I think he was gone for like 3 or 4 months. But then he was continuing his education and doing more. And so they invited him to write an essay about it. And so, there's always, it's a little mixture of everything, but primarily most of it, the meat of them are current students.
Did remind me of a little story. Our program got a voicemail the other day from a student who graduated 20 years ago. He's now in Florida. He earned his HSE through our program, got a career certification, is now working as a nurse practitioner, and said, even 20 years later, what you did for me is still impacting my life. And I was really sad. Happy for him that he lives in Florida and happy, but I was really sad because I wanted to bring him in. I wanted him to be our graduation speaker because that just speaks volumes that, as you said, we have current students, but once they leave our programs, their stories continue and the impact that all that what we do continues on. So, Jen, next slide. Thanks. So there are, like I said, student winners, and these are our keynote speakers or our legislators and the commissioner here. So this is Senator Roderick Bray, Senator Cindy Carrasco, and Representative Michelle Davis. They were our speakers this year. And then last year, Senator Andy Zay, and then this is, unfortunately, our former commissioner of DWD, Richard Paul. He spoke 2 years in a row, last year and this year. And wow, can I just tell you, having him speak is such an honor. I'll let Marilyn.
So one thing I want to say, and I'm not going to get political here, but we are a Republican supermajority state. So most of our legislators that have influence are Republican. However, that's a mixture. Okay, so we do have a Democrat there, and we did the same thing last year where we would have some mixture because adult education is a bipartisan conversation and topic. And so we really do try to make sure that we're kind of getting both houses. We have House and Senate, so both sides of our representation, and then both parties that we're representing.
So, and then here are some pictures from different years of our partnerships. So we like to recognize the partnerships that we have, and we really are trying to focus on business partnerships for Adult Education Day. While I know our community partnerships are just as important, here we want to look at, again, when you're looking at the political landscape, we want to bring those business partners in. I use the term WEI, Workforce Education Initiative, which Maryland helps lead. So we have that in Indiana, and when you're going into a company and providing services within the company for their employees. So what we want to do as we look at best practices and moving forward is we want to make sure that we're recognizing our WEI, our business partners that are changing the lives within their community, and again, looking at building that workforce development. This is actually back from that 2022 year. We're still wearing masks. I brought this one in personally because this is actually one of the companies that my program works with specifically. This is Dormacaba. They work there. We have a great relationship. This started as an English language acquisition class and then moved up into an HSE class. They were so honored to be part of this day and to be recognized at the state level. They still talk about this, and it's been 2 years. They just think it's amazing. They have their certificate proudly displayed in the company. We are still working with them. This gentleman here, his name is Luis. He was also recognized by the Manufacturers Hall of Fame in Indiana. So I got a chance to go there, and then at the same time, our current governor, who was still running for governor, was there showing his appreciation and his commitment to manufacturing. So again, when you go to these different events, you're starting to get those aha moments of what's the best way to educate our legislators to continue to support all the great work that we do. So.
Employers can give a voice to legislators and governors and people that we can't as program staff.
And then, so we hear now the day, I kind of look at this, the day is here, the day is done. What do you look at is how can we let one event, Adult Education Day, that runs for an hour and a half once a year, continue to transform beyond? And that's what we look at here. So we look at actionable takeaways. One is we continue to educate and get the word out more. And this year we looked at, so how many legislators did we actually have in attendance that were impacted, either spoke with students and program directors, and did we hit 30, Marilyn, this year? Pretty close. So this year was a lot larger. I remember my first Adult Education Day back in 2022, 1 or 2, maybe 3. So we're getting a lot more exposure, and that's when you look at takeaways and then again, something you can take with. The attendance has just gotten larger every year. We need more seats. We might grow out of the north atrium and need a new location. I'm not sure how that will all work, but it's great to have the standing room only. The connection, so resources we can offer, those talking points, those are resources that not only go to our legislators, but we continue to get out to any of the attendees to spread the word, because not only we as program directors, teachers, we can educate and advocate, but our students can do it as well. So taking what is presented that day and offering resources to continue and connect beyond the event, thanking the legislators for being there, looking at your business partners, asking them, thanking them, just trying to continue to make those connections, not just that one day or 2 weeks before scrambling, I need more people at Adult Education Day, let me reach out. It's letting all of us know that we can continue this great effort that we have all year long.
So one thing we did is we made a list of all the legislators that we made contact with, and IAACE is very blessed to have a great lobbyist. And we made sure that Lauren was aware of all of the individuals that had been there. We also, DWD has a legislative affairs person in our communications. We made sure that they knew of all the legislators that we had touched base with. So the next time they see them, they can say, wow, it was great. Didn't you really enjoy that day? Just keep bringing adult education back to the front with those legislators, and they're getting it from multiple sides.
And then another thing, like I said, measure success. You can measure it from numbers, more people attended, more programs represented, more students, more legislators, but there's also that qualitative success, and that's where I come in. My first adult ed day in 2022, I knew nothing about it. I just known that my coordinator said, you need to attend. You need to go park downtown and you need to attend the event. And I'm the one person that if I think I'm supposed to know, I tend not to ask the question, because I'm like, I probably should know what Adult Education Day is because I'm supposed to go, but I guess I'll just go. And I Googled it. I was like, what is Adult Education Day? Because was brand new to adult ed. I'm like, why are we going? What are we doing? Wow. Let's fast forward to 2025. Now I know exactly why we're here, what we're doing, and what our purpose is. And so to me, it's not a metric or an outcome, but personally, I know what the purpose is, and so many more people do as well. And that's why the attendance grows every year. And it is, no longer your staff asking, why are we doing this? Oh, it's another day to continue to spread the great work that we do and just share our success with others. So this is another way to measure success. And then gather feedback. You can send out surveys, you can get feedback from like your legislators, those on the committee, programs, attendees. And then another way just is all that anecdotal feedback that you can get. Our committee met, I guess it was 3 weeks after, to kind of do a debriefing. It's like, okay, what was great about the program? Because you get a lot of emails, you get a lot of shout outs. I mean, you hear a lot about it. It was great to hear from different roles of, it was a great day, great job, keep going, you're doing great things. Wonderful, but what more can we get? And so our committee met and we said, okay, this was the biggest adult education day yet. So now how do we do next year to make it even bigger and better? And that's this thing, and you have an outline, and we're getting to the point now where our state conference is in September. It's kind of like conference. And then when the conference is over, adult ed day, well, no, we're going to have to start planning adult education day. Ooh, I got a meeting Tuesday. It's going to be on the agenda a little bit, but we have to start planning earlier to just keep up with the success that it has. And that's what's great about having a debriefing session. Always celebrate your successes, and then always be open. And I think this is good for everything we do. Be open to areas of growth and opportunity. Resources. So this QR code will take you to a web page that Jen so generously created with all of, and we're going to go to in just a minute, but it has those slides here with the pictures. And then I want to share with you the actual playbook that is a little more detailed of what you can do. And it really looks like my journal of what is done for Adult Education Day in the planning process. So I wanted to, how are we doing on time? Okay. So that you'll get access to that whole page there. Yep. So this is the page here, and I wanted to go through. So there's our slide presentation that you can always refer back to. So we did that, but I'd love to go to the Playbook. So this is something that put together a little play on, I'm a big sports fan, so yeah, we can have, because it is like a plan and it's changing and you have to have arrows and oh, it also reminds me of my plan book when I was a teacher. Lots of colorful arrows and just keep moving along. So a lot of here design. So look through all that. Yeah, I was gonna go, let's just go back to the beginning. So a lot more details here than was on the presentation, because I know it's hard to have slides with everything. So here's your playbook. I would recommend, as you look into planning adult education day from the ground up, or where you started, is just trying to get everything out on paper that you can, and you can use this as an example. But again, like we said, what's our goals and what's our outcomes? Our outcome is always to educate more so that we can advocate and continue to grow and provide the services for our adult learners. Again, our audience, demographics and interest, surveys. So there's a lot of things you can do beforehand to reach out. I feel that we have, our teams and our programs have been working on this, and we have a really good handle right now on where our audiences and our landscape. Oh, build your team, roles, speakers, technology. There's my technology support right here, because I can make things, but I don't know how to link it to, if it doesn't link right from Google, I'm out of my element. So we have that there. As you build your team, timeline and task checklist, that's actually what we're working on right now, is updating that timeline, realizing that we need to start our planning even sooner. And then our resources, we do have it every year at the at the Indiana State House. DWD does a great job at securing our date. So our plan is to have it on Tuesday, February 10th next year. We have to secure that date in May, right, Marilyn? Really. So, and what's the great about having there, again, your legislators are right there. We choose this date because it's in session. So there are sessions going on, and that's why you have a lot, can get more support, because, you know, the representatives, the senators are coming out of session here. They've just advocated for their bill, they put there, and then they stop by. So there is strategic planning to that date to know that the State House will be busy with everybody in session at that time. Budget planning, you asked about that, just looking at the funds we have and then the sponsorships that we can get. All right. Audience talk about, okay, the activities, icebreakers and keynotes. We've talked about this. The first half hour of Adult Education Day is actually a networking event. So we invite everybody to come from 11 to 11:30. Most people start writing at 1:45 and even earlier. Again, make sure the cookies, coffee, and water are there in time. But this is a great time for that half hour to just network with other programs. But then you're also starting to see your representatives and your senators coming at that time, and it's a great chance to talk and communicate. I like it because it is informal, but it gets the job done. Other organizations have been running state days, education days at the State House. We've actually received a lot of feedback from members who have attended other state days, and like, you have it down pat. This is what we want to see. Oh, you can add some more, because that was one of the best feedback comments I've heard.
You know, what is it? Like, being copied is the greatest form of flattery, right? And so we have a Jobs for America's Graduate program. They want to do a day at the State House. Our workforce boards have an alliance. Lo and behold, guess what they did this year? A day at the State House. And so we're seeing a lot of the organizations that are kind of in our network start to replicate what it is that we do. And I also wanted to say, the one thing when we were setting the date, or when we were looking at all of this, and we have a different, you have a different, I don't have a different, you have a different lobbyist. But Joe was the one that was really like, helped us figure out like, when is the best time to do this day? And so you probably need to consult with your folks to say, you know, what does session look like? We have an actual, like a break in session for a week where they're out. Well, obviously don't schedule it then. But we did it just before that break. And so we always check their calendars every year before we set the actual date, to make sure that, like, and work with the lobbyists to make sure that, yeah, this is a good date to do this.
So, yes, so that's one thing we do have, past few years. This is the event runs from 11 to 11:30. We also think about timing. Indianapolis is on Eastern time, but a lot of our states on Central time. So we just want to make sure that everybody can get there. From 11:30 to 12:30 is the agenda of the event. And we get everything in an hour because we also want to be cognizant of everybody's time. And so we get that in an hour. And then afterwards, which has been great, people who attend can actually take a tour of the State House. So they host that every year. So about 100 people will usually take that opportunity and get a nice tour of the State House. Our directors get a chance to meet in person from across the state because a lot of the meetings still, because of proximity, are in Zoom. So the directors get together. And then also our professional development facilitators have meetings. So the day starts, in the morning, we have this wonderful event, and then we have a lot of meetings and collaboration afterwards for our programs.
And as the state, we set that up specifically so they have a training, professional development reason to drive downtown to the state, right? It covers them in being able to come to the event because they're going to do their PD afterwards.
All right, and then as you can see, interactive techniques, the live poll sessions, right now, our big breakout session is actually more of that networking at the beginning too. And then social media engagement. Oh, lots of pictures are taken. I scrolled through. Okay, I have to admit, I only do Facebook. I don't really do anything else. A little bit of Twitter, X, whatever, but not Instagram. But everything they had, and Jen did a nice job of just reposting things because all the programs were just so excited to share all the great things that we are doing. And then, they're looking at who are their representatives, who are their senators, and tagging them as well to just great things. So everything we've heard about, I have some safe fellows here, just all the things you can do to increase awareness to your audience. As we talked about, success stories, highlighting the learners, keynote speakers, just like you asked, we give them those talking points, and then a focus to see, can we put it all together? Our theme was how has adult education helped me lift up the work. We try to put the theme of the day with the essay contest, and a lot of times we look at the COAVE theme and try to integrate it as well. Yes.
Do you split out the different areas of adult ed like corrections, ESOL, ABE, or do you like put them all together, or how do you make sure that all areas are included?
Specifically about the day. Yes. So everything is included together, but we're always trying to make sure, like, especially on our partnership side, is, we're looking at, is that a career training partnership? Is it an ABE partnership or HSC, ELL? So we're trying to cover all that, but not specifically broken out separately. So it's a great question. And then again, your takeaways, we talked about tools, resource lists. We're going to give you some tools as well to take with. Next steps for the attendees. We always want to, encourage our attendees, thank your legislator if they were there, continue to follow up. And then the next step, invite them to your graduation ceremony. So just saying, don't stop because it's now 12:30 on February 11th. Keep going and keep increasing awareness around. And then, an online community, we have that with IAACE, and we can continue just to do the great work we have and collaborate with each other. Okay. Oh, this one I think is great. This one helps me stay on track. So you do all this planning, months of planning, but then the day comes. Okay. Day before, you always confirm the logistics, venue, catering, materials, so, and then a final run through with the team. I mean, there's a template on here that's a working, living document. Oh, I started the document with a template. I think it changes. I don't even know how many times it changes, but it's always updated. It starts with highlight, but it's just a starting point of that document. And I always want to have the team that's helping with this have access to it. They can always see what's going on. So communication is key. Maybe it's over communicating, but I'm okay with that because it worked in this event, because here is your event day. You arrive early for setup, point people for troubleshooting. That was really important for us this year. And then a flexible schedule. So here's my story. The president of IAACE, I talked with her and she said, Denise, I want a program. I said, okay, I can make a program. We'll do it. Jen started it and then changed it to make it a little bit simpler. I'm like, okay, half pages. Because as you know, sometimes you make programs and where do a lot of them end up? They don't they don't get farther than the event. So I was like, okay, I want to make a half pager. We started with this. And then we found out our president had the flu. So she wasn't going to be able to attend. I'm like, oh, got to change the program there. And then we changed it to our president-elect. So we had some names in there. And then we had, Senator Cindy Carrasco was the keynote. And then it was going to be Representative Davis. And then it was going to be Senator Bray and partnerships and SU. It looked beautiful. It was great. That is not how it went, because the entire day got shifted in a great way. But because at the time the speakers were planning to speak, they were on the floor trying to get testifying. So I see our lobbyist. I'm like, where is she? Where is she? And then I'm talking to my friend, where's Senator Bray? And then it was a calming, kind of trying to keep that face on. But the great thing is, because we had such a strong team who knew what the goal was and everything that got accomplished, we pivoted the whole time. So instead of the speaker coming, we did business partners. I looked at my two people who were in charge of businesses, and there was some eye contact and a few little movements here. Next thing you know, they had the business partners ready. Then Representative Davis said, oh, I'm ready, I can go now. And then she went in. And then Senator Brake, and actually our keynote speaker, who was supposed to be first, was our last speaker. And so then we got to the point where the student essays, and a gentleman from DWD, he said, Denise, come here. I said, yeah. He looked at this program. He goes, we're here, right? Student essay. He goes, we're at the end. I said, yeah. He goes, okay, you got it all in. So the whole day got accomplished in a completely different order, and it worked okay. And that is really due to having everybody on board, having a great plan. I'm going to steal this from my friend. She said in one of her workshops, the more structured you are, the more flexible you can be. And we pivoted, and if you didn't have that program, no one would have had any idea that it was out of order, because it still went on flawlessly. Marilyn stepped up. It was great. So have a great plan, and then be ready to go. It could change in a moment. And I'm a really OCD person. This is a good learning experience for me as well. So and then your post again. Don't forget to send thank you cards. I had thank you cards for all of my members of the team, handing those out, just that handwritten part there. And then, you're right. And then, okay, so again, this agenda template, please feel free to make a copy of it and use it your way, how you may work it. One thing I like to have is a map of what the area is going to look like, where the table's set up. You need to know where's the senator going to sit, where are your legislators going to sit, where are your business partners going to sit, where are your essay winners? Because so things you look at that you didn't think about from the beginning, but there is always some reserved seating. And then we have a networking guide, a speaker prep checklist. Again, thanks to DWD for sending those key points to them, and then feedback form that we can get. And then we talked about this, your numbers, your surveys, testimonials, and then what's the outcome. And again, this is all for you. And I think there, yep.
It is on the app, but this webpage, so if you'll bookmark this webpage, that's where you're gonna find the presentation, the adult education playbook, and then links to those documents are also right here, so that you can look at our webpage. Our advocacy page has all the past history of our events as well. So if you click on Adult Education Day, you can see that there's a list. This is like what the page looks like whenever it's going to start, but then you have the past history, the essay contest, who was writing it. So it's all there, it's still there. And that's important to make sure that it's a tool and it's a resource for your members. Make sure they can go back to and remember stuff, and who was that talked? I need to reach out to them. So that's one of the reasons that we have it all.
And then, as she said, you have this, and then there's a template on there. So how to reach out to your legislator. I needed that letter the first time, because I was like, can I just insert name here? Because that's really good, and why should I try over? So anything that we can help you there. But yes, that QR code, and it's in the resource one you have directly to this page, so that you can always look back on that as well. So yeah, any questions? Doing okay, 9:04.
First, just thanks so much for this. It's amazing. I commend you for all the work you've done. It's very inspiring. And I just wanted to ask more about the committee and how you form that. My state doesn't have a state association, and there's one person at the state office. So I'm just brainstorming on, I'm sure one person couldn't pull this off, right? No.
You can go ahead because I got appointed.
Well, there's always voluntold, but whenever it comes to the association, obviously we have committees that are already formed, but if you don't have that, but you have programs. Yeah, so I would reach out to each program that you would want to get involved and ask them, we're going to plan this event. We would love for you to make sure that it's an invitation that this is going to be the event. Because I think whenever we recruited Denise, I was like, this is going to make, this is going to put you on the map, girl, because I know your skills. And it has. So invite somebody from each program and make sure you have that collaborating partner. Any relationships that you already have, invite them to attend. Build all the relationships that you have, invite someone. And if they say no, then respect that. But to say, can you refer someone else? Is there someone else that you could ask to help us out? So just getting every program involved.
And our committee meets monthly, a little bit more when we get closer to it. I mean, there's some work done in between the meetings. I try to take everything and some legwork, but our committee does meet monthly to continue all the advocacy work that we do.
Thank you. I actually have two questions. One, I wanted to ask, do you recognize the adult instructors at all? And then two, you talked about equivalency. Do you guys have any other state programs that allow adults to earn a high school diploma?
I'm going to.
Did you see how they were like? So in Indiana, there are 3 different agencies that have 3 different programs for individuals, adults to earn their secondary diploma. The primary one is DWD and the Adult Education Program. We do the vast majority, 70 to 80% of secondary credentials in the state. We also have a workforce diploma program that's run by our governor's workforce cabinet. That vendor is Grad Alliance. They have maybe 150 students a year. So very, very small. We do have a very large, we are known for this. We have a hugely funded adult high school program. Has 3 different vendors. The largest of those is the Goodwill Excel Centers. Those Goodwill Excel Centers really started in Indiana. I want to say over the last 10, 12 years, what did I tell you last night, Jen? They've done about 8,500 diplomas. So yes, we do have other entities. This day truly is focused though just on the DWD programming. We get per capita far less funding. I mean, 20 million sounds like a lot, especially for states that don't get a lot of state funding. I look at my colleagues because I know that we are truly blessed, but compared to what our adult high schools and the workforce diploma program get, it's much smaller per capita. And then you had another question. I will leave that to you guys. We don't do that here, but we also have an annual conference that we partner with.
That's a good idea, though. I will say we do recognize all our students and make sure that this day, that we're here for them. But for the adult education day itself, we do not recognize the teachers except for maybe a group. Thank you for all that you do. But at our conference, we do have a new teacher of the year and teacher of the year. But it's a good thing to put in the back. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. See, I'm learning new best practices today. Yeah. Any other questions? Okay. Again, I want to thank all of you for spending your first hour and 10 minutes with us today. This is a day that, again, one of my favorite days of the year, not only at work, but in my life as well. And my husband gets to hear all about it for the weeks leading up and the time after. So it's just something that I'm so happy to be a part of. I thank DWD and Jen for asking me to be part of this day, and I look forward to many more successful days. So feel free to reach out with any questions you may have. You have our information. And again, thank you so much for coming today. Enjoy the rest of your conference.
One thing. Who's ready to do an adult ed day? Oh, who was the first hand? I get, who wants it? Who wants it? All right. We got candy and thank you keychain. So please come up and help yourself. And don't forget to rate the session.